we then go over to the volatility side of things, right? So this is our volatility analysis that we do every week, courtesy of Genesis Volatility, who provides us with the analytics. So first, we're going to look at realized vol. Here you can see that 10-day realized have been grinding back higher in Bitcoin as we had that sharp sort of 5-6% pop. And then whereas realized vol has been grinding lower in Ethereum because we've now kind of passed that whole post-merge repricing and things have stabilized, and it's now going back to kind of tracking what Bitcoin's doing on a bit of a beta, basically. So you can see just the convergence of implied and realized vol across the board between Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay. In terms of the carry, you can see the difference between them is pretty small. So carry, pretty tiny now, still positive, but not very big. Certainly not enough to make me want to sell gamma and earn theta right now in any meaningful way, because I do suspect that we are at a bit of an inflection point in markets, and we probably will see a violent move one way or the other in coming weeks. And so that's not a place where you really want to be selling a ton of gamma. If we look at the Bitcoin dashboard, what do we see? Obviously, we mentioned spots up around 5% on the week, and with that relative performance, I suspect this thing's got another 10 to 15% in it if equity markets can stabilize. Volatility is quite flat on the week. We can see term structure not doing a whole lot, coming out quite flat, the term structure right now on Bitcoin. Normally it'd be in a bit of contango, but it's quite flat because it's realizing okay. Skew wise, put skew does remain elevated near recent highs. Why is that? We've mentioned that air pocket to the downside. People are pretty aware that macro is a bit precarious right now. Looking at the skew across asset class in like what we do in our macro dashboard, we can see skews quite elevated across the board. So it makes sense that skew in crypto is going to kind of have a bit of a bid in sympathy with that, given that we expect some correlation to risk assets. And there is that air pocket underneath 18K where if we break, then we could accelerate, right? So the realized volatility to the downside will likely pick up if we break those supports. So the reason why put skew is going to hold firm. In terms of carry, we already mentioned carry small positive, but we don't really like the idea of selling gamma here. In terms of trades that I've been up to, I've been lightening up on some of my hedges. And also been putting on some upside plays in the short term, but we'll go into more detail on that when we talk about the trades. Okay, if we then look at the Ethereum dashboard, there's not a whole lot new to say on that, right? It's pretty much trading in line with Bitcoin. Volatility drifting somewhat, whereas Bitcoin vol's been more firm, but put skews elevated, carries kind of slightly positive to neutral, and the term structure's flat at around 90 vol. So nothing really to say on that front. If we look at the relative value side, where we compare the vol between Bitcoin and Ethereum, like we have been doing lately, that was one of our big trades over the last month that touchwood worked out pretty well. We can see that the Bitcoin versus Ethereum volatility spread has been drifting lower as Ethereum vol has been coming down. Okay, so that's the green line here. That's what that spread looks like on different tenors. It's hanging in just under around 20 vol points right now. Okay, so what does that mean? 20 vols on a realized similar to it. You can see the realized metrics on a 10-day and a 30-day are also around 20 vols. I think this thing is headed towards around 15. It used to live in that kind of 10 to 15 range before all the merge hype kind of kicked in. So I think that's where it's headed. So I have started to gradually buy back my short Vega on Ethereum that I've been running short. But I'm probably going to look to close my entire position of short Vega on Ethereum and long Vega on Bitcoin. I'm going to unwind that spread if it gets down to around 15 vols. That's my game plan.